Someone asks how you're really doing and you go quiet because you honestly don't know. You can describe your week. You can't describe how you feel about it. That blank isn't a personality quirk, and it isn't a flaw you were born with. It's a fingerprint. Childhood emotional neglect doesn't leave bruises because it's not about what was done to you. It's about what never happened. The comfort that never came. The question nobody asked. So it hides inside habits that look completely normal, and number 6 is the one almost nobody recognizes in themselves. The first one looks like a strength, which is exactly why it slips past everyone. You do everything yourself. You'd rather struggle for 3 hours than send one text asking for help. People call you independent, and you wear it like a medal. But somewhere early on, you learned that needing things got you nothing, or got you a sigh, or got you trouble. So your nervous system quietly decided the safest person to rely on was you, and only you. That isn't strength you chose. It's armor you built before you were old enough to know you were building it. And the tell is simple. Helping other people feels easy and good. Being helped feels like sitting in a chair that might collapse under you. The second sign grows straight out of the first. You can't name what you feel. There's even a word for it, alexithymia, and it isn't a disorder so much as a skill that never got installed. Feelings aren't something you're born knowing how to read. A young brain learns to name them and settle them by borrowing a calm adult over and over until the wiring sets. If nobody sat with you in the hard moments, that wiring just never finished. So now a feeling shows up as a tight chest, or a short temper, or a flat gray nothing, and you reach for the word to describe it, and the shelf is empty. You're not cold. You were simply never handed the manual everyone else assumes you got. The third one runs quietly under almost everything you do. You feel like a burden the second you need something. A favor, a bit of reassurance, 10 minutes of someone's time, and a little alarm goes off that says you're asking for too much. Here's where that comes from. When a child's needs are met with warmth, they learn that needs are normal. When those same needs are met with irritation or absence or a parent who's already underwater, the child learns the opposite, that the way to stay safe is to need as little as possible. So you became low maintenance, easy, no trouble at all. And it worked, which is the sad part. It just quietly cost you the ability to ever fully relax around the people who love you. Number 4 is the one your friends would never guess, because to them you're the strong one, you're the steady friend, the fixer, the person everyone leans on at 2 a.m. What nobody sees is that no one leans back the other way, and somewhere along the line, you quietly arranged it so they can't. If you grew up being the calm one in a house that needed a calm one, managing a parent's moods instead of having yours managed, you didn't really get a childhood. You got a job, and you were good at it. The problem is, you never clocked out. As an adult, you still walk into every room scanning for who needs steadying, and you genuinely rather hold everyone else up than admit your own arms are tired. The 5th sign is the one that scares people, because it feels like nothing. A flat, gray emptiness that rolls in for no reason you can point to. Your life looks fine on paper, and yet you feel oddly far away from it, like you're watching it through glass. This is what years of not being met does to a person. A feeling that goes unanswered again and again eventually stops bothering to show up loudly. The volume gets turned down on everything, the lows and the highs together, and what's left is a kind of muffled distance. It isn't quite depression, and it isn't ingratitude. It's a younger you who decided, very sensibly, that if nobody was coming when it hurt, it was safer to feel a little less of all of it. Number 6 is the one almost nobody catches in themselves, because it's stitched right into how you talk. You apologize for things that were never yours to apologize for. You say sorry when someone else bumps into you. You over-explain a simple no like you're defending it in front of a judge. You soften every request until it nearly disappears. Underneath all of it sits one quiet belief you picked up a long time ago, that your presence is something other people put up with rather than enjoy. So you shrink, you take up less room, less time, less air, and you tell yourself it's just good manners. But real manners don't come from the fear that you're a little too much simply for being in the room. And the 7th one is the deepest, the one all the others were quietly protecting. You can be surrounded by people who genuinely love you and still feel completely alone. Not unloved, alone. Because being loved and being seen are not the same thing, and as a kid, You may have had the first without ever once getting the second. Someone can adore you and still never think to ask what's actually going on in there. So you grew up fluent in connection from a slight distance, close enough to be cared for, never quite close enough to be known. And that little gap follows you into every warm room you'll ever stand in, right up until you finally learn to give yourself the one thing nobody gave you back then. Here's the part that actually changes things. None of this was your fault, and almost none of it was ever visible. Emotional neglect isn't an event you can point to on a calendar. It's an absence. The hug that didn't happen. The feeling nobody helped you carry. That's why it's so hard to spot, and why so many people who live through it will swear they had a perfectly normal childhood. Nothing bad happened. That's the whole trick of it. The thing that shaped you wasn't a thing at all. It was 1,000 small moments of being left to manage on your own, and a young brain doing its level best to adapt to a world that wasn't quite meeting it halfway. So what do you do with all of this? You start by naming it, because a wound you can finally name stops running the show from the shadows. Every one of these habits was a smart solution for a younger you who had no better option at the time. They protected you. They're just charging you rent now, long after the danger is past. The work isn't about blaming anyone. It's about slowly becoming the steady adult you needed. For the part of you that's still flinching. You let yourself need things out loud. You sit with a feeling instead of going numb. You stay one extra second in the room when everything in you wants to leave. None of it is fast, but wiring that got built late can still be rebuilt, and this time, you're the one holding the tools. If any of these felt less like a list and more like somebody reading your mail, you're not broken, and you're really not alone in it. Send this to the person you pictured while you were watching, the strong one who never asks anyone for anything. They might need to hear that the habit has a name. Subscribe and stay with me, because the flip side of this, the way the kids who were left to grow up early so often turn into the most quietly capable adults in the room, is a story worth telling too. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.